I'm Calder Alfano, and this is my story. So I was a Boca High grad, alumni class of 2013. I used to joke how I lost more student government elections than anybody in history because every year I would just lose whatever I ran for. Finally, my senior year, a friend of mine nominated me to be Mr. Boca High. It was the first election I ever won, and ended up being a whole lot of fun. And that was really big for me. And that's where, as involved as I was in student government, that's kind of where I always wanted to go with things, was how do I create chances for everybody to be as involved here as I was. I would say making connections here with people at school is what made all of it matter to me. It made it all worth it. I think to have a place where there are people who care about you, and maybe more importantly, people you care about, that you can go seek out, I think that's a really cool thing. And I think being here at Boca High, having such a big network of people who fit, into one of those two categories in terms of knowing that you're cared about, and also people whose lives you're then invested in. Having this be a building that housed so many of those important relationships for me, it made this a really safe place and a place I love coming to. When I think about stepping out and taking risks and then the payoff on the other side, I think I had seen recently a video where Will Smith talked about going skydiving for his 50th birthday, and he talked about how on the opposite side, on the other side of fear, is the most exhilarating moments of life. My freshman year, playing at a really high level, we're getting ready, for, I think it was our Jacksonville game my freshman year, and I got hit in a practice and tore my ACL, my MCL, and my meniscus in my right knee. I'm life could be a lot worse. But as a college athlete, that's a pretty devastating blow because, as far as recoveries go from injury, that's one of the longest ones. And I even remember that day, my teammates, my coaches had all kind of started trying to just mentally prepare me for, what was coming up, keeping me, trying to keep me in good spirits and, hey, you'll come back from this and all those kind of things, which coming back from an ACL isn't, unheard of anymore, like it was, a couple decades ago. Any athlete who's gone through a injury, especially your more severe injuries, knows that the physical healing is a process, but that the mental healing can sometimes be the bigger battle. And that was certainly my experience where, trying to come back, after getting hurt my freshman year, trying to work myself back onto the field my sophomore year, and, you're not as physically quick as you were, or you're a step slow, and you've taken a year away from the game. I think one of the biggest encouragements that I got through that period of my physical healing and also going through the mental battle of recovering through an injury, I got recommended to start seeing a therapist while I was on campus at Duke, and I was really fortunate that we had on-campus therapists available for students to go see. That ended up for me being a really helpful moment in my mental recovery, where as my physical therapist, my athletic trainers helped me get my body healthy. Having a professional who was able to counsel me and give me professional level help as my brain, and the mental side of my life started to recover, and the emotional side of my life started to recover. One of the biggest encouragements, and I think something that was to my benefit, was seeking help early on in the process versus later on. I think anybody that is struggling, it's a lot better to seek help when you are in that stage of wondering whether or not you need it, before you get to the place where you need it, which is I think a little bit funny to try and wrestle with that question. But I think the big encouragement I would give is to seek help the first time it comes to your mind. And if you're somebody who's going through that moment of questioning about, well, I've always wanted to speak to one of the guidance counselors at school, I've always wanted to sit down with the on-campus therapist, whatever that may be, I would encourage you to do it, because taking that first step is kind of your first landmark on the road back. And so if you're at a place where you look inward and you go, I'm not where I want to be, or my relationships aren't what I'd like them to be, or I don't really know the goals I'm chasing, I hope that you can be courageous in your life to decide that I can start over. I can refocus, I can reset, and the person I am today does not have to be the person I am tomorrow. That realization changed everything for me, and I hope it changes everything for you. I'm Calder Alfano, and this is my story.